Yo guys, I've got a spark which I'm going to use to ignite the fire for a premiere that's not only going to bring out the debut of our next Locke Gamer channel, but it's also going to be the third day of Skylanders, hence why I'm currently wearing my hair Christmas jumper, and it's very Skylander themed because it's Spyro themed, and last time I checked Spyro is a Skylander, so therefore it's a Skylanders Christmas jumper. Glorious, isn't it? But enough of all my rambling on. What we're going to do here is we're going to press that A button and get going with the Skylanders Giants Lightcore Brightness Lock. Now this is a prequel to the Skylanders Swap Force Brightness Lightcore lock that I did, and that lock that I did for Swap Force, well, it was on Nightmare mode where we beat it with all 16 Lightcores. Bearing in mind only one of them made it to the end, so if you want to figure out who it was, you need to go and check out that series in full, or just for the finale, whichever one you prefer. But regardless, the rules here are pretty much the same. So we're going to select a brand new save file here, and just like we did for the Swap Force Lightcore Brightness Lock, we're going to go on Nightmare mode, which seems suicidal given that this is Skylanders Giants and I only have 8 in my cast. But what you've got to remember here is that this is Skylanders Giants, and one of those 8 is Drobot. That alone gives me hope in beating this. So we have 8 Lightcore characters that we're going to go through the entirety of Skylanders Giants, where we're going to be skipping cutscenes along the way, and we're actually going to be kicking this off with Lightcore Chill. Why am I picking this character to debut the lock with? Well, because of the 8 Lightcores I have beside me, this was the last one to add to my collection. In fact, this was my last Skylanders Giants character I added to the collection, period. And it's a very interesting story behind it, because at CEX she was constantly out of stock. Turns out she was out of stock because pretty much every single place where she was traded in, CEX listed her as the wrong price. They listed her as Legendary Lightcore Chill rather than regular Lightcore Chill. So I go into a CEX up Wales on holiday of all things, and I see in the Skylanders pre-owned shelf at CEX this here character under the Legendary Lightcore listing, and the Legendary Lightcore version was actually cheaper than this version, so I paid the cheaper price and got the last character I needed for my Skylanders Giants collection. It was a Legendary day, and plus I was on a holiday too, so I was already enjoying my holiday down in Wales, and this figurine was cherry on top of the cake for that holiday for me. But without further ado, let's place her onto the portal. Now here's how the series works. You might have noticed in the setup that I have going on for me right now, for background, we'll have brightened up that tiniest little bit, because every single time I place a Lightcore onto the portal, the background on my setup lights up. Pretty self-explanatory, that one. I mean, after all, Lightcores are all about bringing light to things. Boom! Take that, freaking ice prisons. Oh, well, looks like I get to jazz out. I have no problem with jazzing out, because that is my favourite Autobot after all. Not my favourite Transformers character. My favourite Transformers character is Soundwave, because he is a badass and he's just about one of the only Decepticons who remains completely loyal to Megatron, which is an interesting trait in and of itself, because pretty much every other Decepticon has tried to betray him in some form or another. That's the Decepticon trait for you. We're grabbing plenty of treasure along the way, but I should continue explaining what the series is all about here on the third day of Skylands. So that's what happens whenever I place a Lightcore onto the portal. The background in the setup lights up ever so slightly, and the intro is actually the same level of brightness as the background. So as the series goes along, that intro is going to get brighter and brighter every single episode, until at the very end it's incredibly bright. And when you juxtapose the intro of this debut episode, which is really dark, you juxtapose it directly with the finale episode where it will be really bright, and you will see just how far we've come, how many times a Lightcore has been placed onto the portal, mind you. But it is a problem with the series to where, as per traditional lock rules, if a Skylander is defeated in combat, their class is dead and cannot be used again throughout the remainder of the playthrough, and whenever an element pops up, I must switch out to a Lightcore corresponding to element, and I cannot switch out again until the element of the area changes once more. Now, because we're doing this with the 8 Giants Lightcore figurines, that means we only have one Skylander per element, one of which is actually Shroombeam. You can see his soul gem right up there at the top left hand corner of the screen. He's our life representative. Then obviously we have Chill for water, Jetpack for air, and Pop Fizz for magic, because when they created new cores for Giants, 4 of them were given Lightcore alternatives. Pop Fizz of which, when we switch out for him, he has a very interesting backstory behind his Lightcore, so I can't wait to talk to all of you about that. But then, not only did we get Series 2 for certain figurines and giants, we also got a Lightcore for those same figurines returning from Spark's Adventures. That means that certain characters in this game got brought back twice, and those characters are Prison Break for Earth, Drobot for Tech, Eruptor for Fire, and Hex is obviously our undead representative. And what's interesting about Lightcore Hex is that she never actually got a full release, at least not here in the UK. She was exclusively a pre-order bonus from Skylanders Swap Force, which is how I acquired my Lightcore Hex. Picking up Skylanders Swap Force on launch, as I pre-ordered the game from Tesco, I also got a free Lightcore Hex included with the purchase, which was epic. And I specifically remember going into Tesco and checking out the customer services deck, where obviously they sold all of the starter packs, or at least that's where they kept all of the starter packs. And when we got there, because I had a pre-order, I obviously got for free pre-order bonus with a Lightcore Hex. But they didn't keep them in the customer services storage place, unlike they kept all the starter packs there, but they didn't keep the pre-order bonuses there. So one of the staff had to spend, had to have been at least half an hour fishing through for stocks. So they went, to the back of the store, and they had to fish out this pre-order bonus for me, even though they weren't charging nothing for it, because obviously it was free as part of pre-order and Swap Force. So the fact that the staff member had that sheer dedication towards getting me that pre-order bonus from the stocks behind the store front, mind you, it's something that I admire. I admire when staff go above and beyond to help out the customers. So Hex is a pleasant story behind her, Chella has a pleasant story behind her. My Lightcore Pop Fizz doesn't really have a pleasant story behind me personally getting it. What was interesting about Lightcore Pop Fizz, I was alluding to this earlier, is that on the poster he has a completely different pose compared to his final release. And I assume that's because, well, the assumption is that the original pose they had planned, which was supposedly printed on the poster, was too big to fit inside of a box. It's not that having two potions light up, which would have been insanely cool by the way, but two potions lighting up wouldn't have been an impossibility, because Jetvac and SMITHBOOM both have two parts of the figurine, completely separate parts that light up. In fact, technically so does Prison Break, because both of his crystal hands light up, which are two different parts of the figurine. It's not one big bulk Lightcore effect. I also really like how in-game you can actually see the same part of the character light up, which does so on the figure. So for Chill, her weapon lights up, and it lights up in the game also. It's an excellent attention to detail indeed. These fools are going down. This does not feel like ammo mode, but that's purely because this is the first level. Trust me, the difficulty is going to start spiking sometime soon. But say, now we have a different pose for Lightcore Pop Fizz compared to that on the poster, because they had to change up the pose between the production of the figurine and the production of the poster that came with the starter packs, hence why the pose is different. And like I say, I assume that's because, sorry, I'm getting distracted by notifications on my phone, which is also my face cam right now, but say, I'd assume it's because the original Lightcore Pop Fizz pose couldn't fit in the packaging. It's just a massive shame, because that pose was so much cooler. And now, without further ado, let's skip over the cutscenes, or more importantly, we're going to be pressing best button on video game to skip over the unnecessary deep stew. Yeah, it's all us being all specific like. So already the first level is done for, and these episodes are going to be quite quick, since the chapters of Giants are also quite quick, which is why we're going to be playing multiple chapters in singular episodes. This first episode is going to have the first 3 chapters within it, so we're going to play up to the end of Rumbletown in this debut here today for the 3rd day of Skylands. Then we're going to be playing 2 episodes, well, 2 chapters per episode I should say, leading up to the Archean trilogy, which will be the finale in dedication to it. So yes, the finale is going to be the entirety of the Archean trilogy to conclude the game with, which means that there are going to be 7 episodes of the series total, all episodes of which will debut on Thursdays going into a new year. Yeah, baby, take him down. But man, that Noir Lock, we were cutting it close. We had only one Skylander left at the end, and I assume the exact same thing is going to happen for this series, to be perfectly frank with all of you. I doubt highly that all 8 characters are making it to the end, especially when Eruptor is part of our cast, and Eruptor dies really easy on Nightmare mode in this game. But then again, he could surprise me, he could prove me wrong. You could pull out some legendary clutches, and the same thing could be said for Hex, because she isn't a character who's particularly massively beloved by the community. There are few people who adore the character. I couldn't blame them. I personally think Hex is quite good, and I think she is overhated for the most part. But still, when you compare her to the other 7 Lightcores, she's not nearly as good as characters like even Jetpack. Like, as boring as his moveset is, it is effective in combat because you can quite easily keep your distance from enemies. Therefore, you hit them without them hitting you. Obviously, Pop Fizz is an instant win. In fact, Pop Fizz is my second favourite of this cast, followed by, obviously, Drobot being my favourite. And Drobot is basically our main hope going into this series. Without Drobot, I don't think I would have even attempted this because 8 characters only for Nightmare Mode seems almost impossible for my skill level. Luckily for me, I can do that. And I'm not getting any more notifications on my phone now, so the distractions have ceased. Let's be checking this out. For the first time I played through this level, I was fooled into thinking that this was a legendary treasure, and I was also fooled into thinking that this was the only portion of the level that this chapter had to offer. Fortunately, you do check multiple islands to gather up the gear required for the ship. That's why they call it the Junkyard Isles rather than the Junkyard Isle. It's a plural. Plus, what's the point in having an infinite sea of floating islands when, you know, you only explore one in a singular chapter? So instead we get to explore multiple islands in this chapter. Now we get to switch out for Prison Break, because like I say, whenever an element pops up, I must switch out for a star corresponding to that element. Cannot switch out again for an element of the area, change once more. We've visited Persephone, which is good for upgrades. Oh, I'm pressing the wrong buttons here. I'm getting used to the controls from Swap Force onwards, where Prison Break's summoning attack is the B button, which in this case is the Crystalline Explosion. Now, yes, I did need to look at the Xbox 360 controller for that, because I'm not quite used to the button setup, since it's switched from the button setup I am used to, which is the Nintendo Switch button setup. Now, I really wish this character had his WoW power, because if this character had the Prison Break WoW power, he would be even more annihilative than this you see before you. Like, currently, this is decent, but for WoW power takes this character to a whole new level, because you can send a pulse through the beam and just annihilate everything in front of you. Like, all of these enemies that I'm targeting all at once by splitting the beam, well, when I send a pulse down it, it hits every single one of them. So all of a sudden you're annihilating 6 enemies at once because you've targeted them all and you've sent the pulse down the beam. But all these characters are fully upgraded, as we saw when we checked out Persephone. Hex had all of her upgrades, and all of the other characters are no different. So I actually prepared for a Locke for once, which is a big shocker. That's another part of the problem when it comes to me, my lack of skill at pushing the Be Good video game button. Normally, I not only fail to push the Be Good video game button, but I also fail to prepare for the Locke. And failing to prepare is preparing to fail. Anyway, let's blow this up. It looked at me funny, so it had it coming. And now we're going to open up the gate after we obviously beam up the rest of these crates, because they also look to me funny. And other things I seem to be feeling out right now is just commentary in general, but that's what happens when I commentate without a script. I tend to stutter. But those are pretty much the rules of the Locke. Already we will have brightened up the setup quite significantly, well, the background of the setup. We're not changing how the gameplay looks, because when you make the gameplay brighter or darker, it looks like crap. Same for face cam. But what I have actually is all of the icons for the Lightcore characters. They will actually fade into darkness if they are to be defeated in battle and classed as dead and cannot be used again throughout the remainder of the Locke. So that's actually a really interesting way, if you were to ask me, about showcasing which characters are still alive and which ones aren't, because obviously the ones that are still alive are nice and bright like Lightcores themselves, whereas the ones that have been defeated, unfortunately, will be darkened out. You've got to remember that those guys have the melee attacks too, so I should probably stop getting hit by those. There you go, finish them off. Fantastic, and let's grab that food whilst we're at it. Now what we're going to have here is yet another elemental switch out for none other than SMITHBOOM. Yeah, he's the life representative, but here's the thing. We have a Lightcore SMITHBOOM right here. This isn't SMITHBOOM though. He goes by a name, and first of all, before we nickname this character, I believe we need to actually take ownership of him. Oh, better yet, we don't. So we're going to allow visiting nicknames, and in this case, that visiting nickname is SMITHBOOM, because that is the more appropriate name for this character right here. We nicknamed him SMITHBOOM after Luke absolutely annihilated an arena with this character. Luke isn't very good at these games, unfortunately. He can't see the screen very well. because of his unfortunate disability. But that didn't stop him from absolutely obliterating everything in sight with this character. So the fact that SMITHBOOM is that good that even Luke can annihilate with him is proof of how good this character is in general. But also, I promised to nickname SMITHBOOM after him should he have been successful in the arena, and I stuck to my promise. Now it has become a channel meme based on a joke, a pun that Judas made during that very same live stream where Luke absolutely annihilated the arena with this guy. So from this point forward, SMITHBOOM is known as SMITHBOOM, and there's even an emote based behind it. An emote which you can gain access to by becoming a channel member today. But enough of all the self-promotion crap, let's continue annihilating those fools. Now that we have all of the keys and the story score, which I just felt like acquiring, we're not going to be listening to it though. We have about as much interest in listening to these as we do watching the cutscenes. So let's not be reading that, and what we're going to do instead is we're just going to be plugging these keys into the gate now that we have them, and we're going to be progressing with this Locke without further ado. Man, this is an exciting debut. I love this Christmas jumper, my Skylanderified Christmas jumper, or at least my honorary Skylanders Christmas jumper, since again Spyro is his own franchise, but he is a Skylander also. Now we can access this area immediately, because normally this would be locked to us had we not visited Persephone yet, but because we did that on the second island, we can access it immediately. The bridge has dropped, and I can place onto the portal Lightcore Drobot. This is going to be the first of many annihilative Drobot moments. This character is so much fun, I love it. Okay, I can't believe I actually used the secondary attack. Oh my god, I used it again! Who actually uses the secondary attack with Drobot? Besides me, the answer is no one. Are they all dead yet? I'm surprised that they aren't dead yet. Oh, that was the wrong attack button. I meant to use the secondary attack. There you go, we got them all. But say, be prepared for me to use the wrong attacks many times, because I just have the control scheme of superchargers mesmerized in my brain right now. I've been playing so much superchargers recently. I've been doing the superchargers Warlock, I've been doing the superchargers Soul Seekers live streaming series, mind you. So yes, after all of that time having played superchargers, no wonder why that's the only like controller setup I have on my mind right now. I live, breathe, and even sleep superchargers. Like, I dream of superchargers at this point because I've been playing it so much. And you know what? I have no problems with that whatsoever, because superchargers is my second favourite Skylanders game. Objectively speaking, it's no doubt the best Skylanders game, because when it comes down to the soundtrack, the graphics, the story, even for refinement within the gameplay mechanics, makes Superchargers objectively the best Skylanders game. However, not many people enjoy it because of the tedious vehicle sections, and sometimes the tedious level design, because the game is very much focused around gimmicks when it comes to the levels. So we don't really get many traditional Skylanders levels, especially with incorporation of vehicle sections. So it's easy to see why people don't call Superchargers their favourite, but we can all admit that when it comes to the craft of the Skylanders games, the Superchargers installment in the franchise is easily the best made Skylanders game. And it's my second favourite, not only because I respect the craft behind the game, but also because I just find it fun. I think the vehicle sections are heavily underrated, with the exception of the Sea in the Sky. Fuck Sea and Sky, but the land vehicle sections are perfectly fast-paced, and you know, it's actually a really great way to freshen up and refine the gameplay formula. We had 4 Skylanders games leading up to it, which were all practically the exact same thing, so having that little change up in the gameplay, to me it was a welcome addition. So yeah, Superchargers, most underrated Skylanders game in my opinion, and my second favourite Skylanders game, but nothing can top Trap Team for me, which is on the opposite end of the spectrum when it comes to the craft behind the Skylanders games to Superchargers. I would argue that Trap Team is the worst made Skylanders game because it's so incredibly buggy, but I think the bugs make it play all the more unique. And so the general jankiness behind Trap Team and the unique way in which it plays is what makes it so much fun to me. That, and also the boss fights are creative and they're fun in their own right. So let's pick up a Winged Sapphire for the second time in this series. I don't even know why I'm bothering to collect these. They don't give you discounts on Oryx Shop, which is unfortunate, and I have all upgrades for my Lightcore characters as is. Oh, that guy blocked my path. How incredibly rude indeed. Without further ado, I think it's time we head out for the final chapter of this level, Rumble Town, and then I can address those notifications I've been seeing on my phone this entire time. Man, we've had a lot of switching back and forth, but in this first episode, I believe every Lightcore is debuted except for Eruptor, who will get its debut in the next episode, not to worry, because fire doesn't pop up for the first time until Cutthroat Carnival. Technically it's the same with water, but we started this thing with chill. I just wanted to start this thing with the Lightcore character in this cast I got last. It's my newest Lightcore, you can go as far to say. Okay, let's take out some fools. I also love the blast that they are created. Whenever there's immediate combat, whenever an element switches, it means that I get to create that Lightcore blast and annihilate everything in my wake. Toebiter's Ascent, wow, hell of a name. Anyway, let's annihilate some fools. You see what I mean? Jetpack can be good. He's boring, but he's pretty good at fighting enemies. Oh boy, my controller is disconnected. This is a good start to the series. It needs new batteries, so how about I go address that?
A few moments later.
Okay, so I'm back and I have new batteries for the controller. I had to go downstairs to go grab some, and I didn't even need to ask whether we had any AA battery spare, because I just opened up our battery drawer and it turns out my parents bought a whole 20 pack of AA batteries. So yeah, I have plenty to go round. I could change this controller 10 times over, because for Xbox 360 controllers are absolute battery guzzlers. Like, the AA's do not last long with these controllers. They drain them, I tell you. But now that we have ourselves the secondary, well, the first key we needed actually. Don't know why we needed a key for the other gate. That was an enemy gate, so that gate would open so long as we defeated all the enemies at hand. Let's annihilate this fool. Ow, mistakes were made. And I absolutely wasted that blast right there. Okay, let's finish off this guy too while we're at it. Suck! Yeah, get sucked, buddy boy. Yeah, we've got to be very careful there, because the last thing we want to do is lose Jetpack to Chapter 3 of all things. Now that would be humiliating. But regardless, when I went downstairs to go change for batteries on my Xbox 360 controller, my mum was watching Paddington 2. Which is incredible, because Paddington 2 is the highest rated film on IMDb, with good reason. The film is so damn charming, it's hard to dislike, and it's worthy of being, you know, the best film ever made, in accordance to IMDb users. It was also one of the best films ever made in the Massive Weight of Unbearable Talent, was it called? Or The Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent, starring Nicolas Cage as Nicolas Cage. Regardless, let's bring out a little bit of Pop Fizz. Now, if there ever was a Skylanders movie in live action, I would want Nicolas Cage to play Pop Fizz over here. Let's say The Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent was a really fun film, and Pedro Pascal's character at one point says that one of his favourite movies is Paddington 2. Nicolas Cage is like, what? Seriously? So the two of them watched Paddington 2, and Nicolas Cage is like, Paddington 2 really is one of the best films ever made. Because it is. The statement is true. Paddington 2 deserves to be within anybody's top 10 films of all time. Anyway, let's be skipping over this unnecessary deeps too without further ado. Now this guy is down the potions path, I believe, so he should be able to create massive explosion. Well, that is if I can actually aim my potions, which is easier said than done apparently. Okay, finish him off. Oh no, apparently I'm not down for Robin's potions path. Okay, we're just going to take that hit like a champ, because instead... Oh, got to be careful here though before I lose Pop Fizz. Now that would be embarrassing, and I don't think this kind of dude would like me very much afterward if I were to do such a monstrous thing. Boom boom, shake the room, yeah. Luckily today is not the day that we lose Pop Fizz. Today is the day, however, that we skip over Brock's unnecessary deeps do, and I'm glad that it had nothing to do with my terrible aiming skills that we didn't do the explosion upgrade. It has to do with the fact that I'm down the alternate path, which, to be fair, for Pop Fizz, either path is just as good as one another, so I'm not exactly losing out on much by not having the potions path. You just got to remember that I am going to be in regular form of Pop Fizz, more so than the beast form going through this game, because I can't risk switching out the beast form in the middle of combat. I leave myself completely vulnerable in the process. And plus, this form is more maneuverable, so it can dodge attacks far more easily than the beast mode can. Hence why I'm going to be relying on it quite heavily. Boom! Get wrecked, baby. Plus, it stacks damage. You saw how much that Spellpunk got absolutely obliterated right there. I almost feel sorry for it. Almost. Anyway, so let's grab that treasure. Yeah, I don't know what that noise was. Don't ask me what that noise was because I have no clue. Anyway, these fools are in need of annihilation, but luckily for me, I don't actually need to stick around here. I can just open this gate and then skedaddle, but we've got to be cautious of all the enemies along the way. Yeah, get wrecked, folks. I kind of knocked them back with the might of my absolute raw awesomeness, but what we need next is a little bit more of jetvac, because apparently we haven't had enough jetvac yet, and here I am, returning with the stutters. Okay, let's take that Chompy out before he chomps me, because that would be rather inconvenient. And now we're just going to leave them folks behind, because we can. Okay, I don't like how quickly that blaster, well, for jetpack even, I don't like how quickly it runs out of juice. It runs out of juice about as quickly as the Xbox 360 take out juice from the batteries. You know, either thing is quite draining, either jetpack is quite draining, or the Xbox 360 controller is draining from double A's, mind you. Okay, here we go. Let's see if I can cheese this, because normally an undead activates here, but if you don't go into a particular section of the level, then the undead elemental power never actually activates, and so long as it doesn't activate, I get to remain as jetpack, because technically, as you can tell from the top left-hand corner of the game, air is still powerful here, so I have to remain as the Lightcore corresponding with the element, that being jetpack, and I'd rather go through Brock's Arena with jetpack than Hex. Jetpack has better odds, even though I think either character would no doubt win because this one isn't too tough. However, Chaos Castle I am fearing because we have close quarters combat and it's for tech, so we're going to be putting Drobot's life in serious danger, and the last thing I want to do is lose Drobot to some Grenadier bullshit. Anyway, now that that's been unlocked, we can push these crates into place. Yeah, baby. Love me a good bit of this, I do. So now that those are all in place, we can annihilate some fools back here, who again also had to come in. We were going to suck them up first. Hurry up and get sucked. Deary me, that wasn't very fun. That's why I asked for them to hurry up and get sucked. Okay, here you go, here you go. Yeah, that's more like it. We took a lot more damage than I would have liked. But you know what, we're doing just fine. We got our blaster back, we got a pretzel, so clearly we're doing just fine. Indeed. Plus, Auric is nearby, so he might have some useful charms for us. Not that I can even see my gold count right now because my face cam is right in front of it. He's lucky enough that I can even see the health bar for Skylanders. So let's enter the store. Let's see if he has any useful charms. A charm that provides Skylanders improved healing in elemental areas. That's not particularly useful because we're not exactly going to be going into any elemental areas throughout the series. This is no 100% series, shall we go as far to say, but we can at least acquire ourselves that very charm right there. Let's suck that rather than shooting it so we don't waste one of our power blasts. But say, now that we have this charm for regeneration power up, we can heal Jetpack as we go along. I could have not even entered the arena and just waited for Jetpack to fully heal up, but I'm not going to be that much of a cheat. Besides, it's not really cheating if it's a fundamental part of the game now, is it? Like, sure, I will admit magic items would be cheating if I were to use those, because they're kind of like external forces that you have to buy separately, but these are a fundamental part of the game. They are incorporated into the coding, so, well, as are magic items, to be fair, so that kind of nullifies my argument. But still, if developers put it in there, they expect you to use them. Again, the same could be said for magic items. But we can use those charms, we can't use magic items. Magic items being an external figurine that you have to buy, and those charms being something that you can just spend Skylander monies on in Oryx's little shops. So yeah, I'm going to call them two completely different things. They are unlocked via two completely different mechanics. And if the game didn't want me to hack this way, then they shouldn't have made the charms accessible through Oryx's shop in the first place, should they? So if you think I'm cheating, it's the game inviting me to cheat is what it is. Okay, let's suck that up. Yeah, there you go. We can just push him right on back. Man, you see what I mean? This character, he's not fun to play as. But boy is he good at killing things. Die. Well, as you shall receive, I guess. Wow, the life Swelpin wasn't even given the time to heal those guys up, and now we have so many power blasts. This is just satisfaction right now. This right here puts a smile on my face.
Fun isn't something one considers when balancing the universe. But this does put a smile on my face.
Ow! That hurt. Let's watch out for more attacks. That's a good plan, actually. I like the idea of not getting hit anymore. Solid plan that one. Okay, let's finish these fools off. Watch out for you, which we did. Yay me. Because in this game, the hitboxes are genius, as the enemy attacks only deal damage to you when they actually land. They aren't like the rats, where they look at you funny and deal damage. Man, I hate those rats and imaginators. I hate them so much. But here we go. With Goliath Dro, which is a rhyme, therefore making me pull without even knowing it. Kill him! Kill him some more! Okay, we're going to kill the Swelpins too, mainly for looking at me funny for no other reason. Plus their healing block, which also isn't a win in my books. Oh yeah, now he's dying. He's dying by fire. Kill it with fire! I love it. We get to ignite several fires around here, including the one that will be, that will burn down the Goliath Dro and just absolutely obliterate him. Commit annihilation! Okay, kill him some more. There you go. I would say desperate times call for desperate measures, but this isn't really desperate times because I'm not even close to dying, so I don't need to be desperate. Where's the Swelpin? Continues to heal this guy. I don't see him. Okay, kill it. I said kill it. Yeah, that's more like it. Okay. Watch out. We can just fool this guy into coming off the edge, but we don't need to do that because he's already dead. We can skip over this cutscene and prepare to end off the episode where we stand. But first things first, we're going to wait for all these objectives to fly on by. We've got no lives lost, which is the most important objective for the second star. It means that all 8 Skylanders are going into the next episode unscathed. Now let's continue on without further ado. We do have loading screens, however, and I've got to make sure I speak through the loading screens because they are for one part of the gameplay that are completely silent. I will speak through parts of the gameplay where there is music in the background, where there is cutscenes, where there is dialogue, and yet I'll remain completely silent for the cutscene, for the loading screens, which are also silent. What is the point? Might as well have some noise in there. Anyway, we have a Winged Sapphire, well not Winged Sapphire even, we have several Lockatron wheels, which we've acquired, or at least we acquired for one from Junkyard Isles. We'll acquire one from Cutthroat Carnival in the next episode, so we are going to quickly complete this lock puzzle, gain access to Oryx Shop, and then our final note that we're going to end off on is acquiring that Lockatron bulb, because the more buffs we have, the better. I really should have got Lockatron from that previous level. It was Lockatron Wheel of Power. We want power and health the most, because health will mean that we're more likely to get food dropped from defeated enemies. Very important if we want to survive, because we can obviously heal up more frequently and not lose as much health. And then, does this guy even have a soul gem yet? The soul gem is his eagle headgear, and he doesn't seem to have that, which is mad. But luckily, he does have lots of path upgrades, which is what matters. So I suppose when I said all of my Lightcore characters from this game are fully upgraded, I suppose when I said that it was a lie, but at least he's level 15. And as I was saying earlier, more buffs are better, the more health we can get, the more healing we can get, the better, which is why health Lockatron wheels are important, and as are power wheels, because those are ones which increase your chance of critical hit. And obviously a critical hit could be the difference between defeating an enemy and one less attack, and if we defeat an enemy and one less attack, they aren't going to have the opportunity to defeat us if they're being defeated much more quickly by us, which is why critical hit is important, which is why power wheels are important. Experience and wealth, on the other hand, not so much. I mean, I'm not in desperate need for upgrades, with the exception of Jetpack Soldier apparently, and I'm not in desperate need for leveling up either. But with that being said and done, this episode is coming to an end, so we're going to bring about the end of both the debut of the Skylanders Giants Lightcore Brightness Lock here on the channel, and we're also going to bring an end to the 3rd day of Skylands. I hope you've enjoyed it. We have plenty more awesome videos to come for 12 days of Skylands, and until those premiere, I have an outro to say the rest. I cannot, in good conscience, end off this video without first thanking all of my incredible channel members whose continued support help make these videos possible. Without them, these videos would be near impossible to make, so from the bottom of my heart, I truly appreciate every last one of them. If you enjoyed this video and would like to see more, there are plenty of options on screen now to explore, and please consider subscribing to keep up